right now are listening that are probably thinking themselves, well, Hogan was an older guy and his body was already beat up, and so yeah, that's true. But it's just that's why you have limitations to your body weight for so long. And I know Hogan had a huge name, still does have a huge name. It will always have a huge name. Period. Ending. But it's just the his in ring was slow off what it needed to be, and his body was beat up. But he gave what he did to the business. But the match. It's okay. It was a good match, good storyline going into it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the selling point.
And with Hogan, I understand the concern there, but you're supposed to, as a wrestler, you're supposed to be able to work within your limitations. And I mean that because if you look at Ric Flair was also up there in age.
Mm-hmm.
And couldn't do so much, but he used what he could do to its fullest to where I can honestly say he didn't really do much spot-wise, but he was entertaining.
Oh,
he was
very much.
Really entertaining to watch.
Now, here's a question for it. It's a touch-off subject, but you said Mr. Ric Flair. As we've heard a number of legends and, mainly legends, I say the two greatest of all time in the ring is Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. I'm personally not. I understand what they do in the ring, but saying that they're the greatest of all time. They had different characters, very good characters. They could sell, man. In ring ability of this to sell. Good wrestlers. I don't know if I would necessarily put. I know people are like, I'm just very, very highly disagree and probably put some heat on me, to say. What do you think about that between them two being, at least you stay on Ric Flair being the greatest of all time if you want?
Ric Flair would have to be up there. One of the greatest wrestlers. And that's
the greatest.
The greatest? Man.
Not one of the greatest, but the greatest.
But that's hard for me because I take into consideration that, like, I'm gonna use two of the bigger draws in wrestling as an example. Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. Those are the two biggest draws in wrestling. Yeah, I wouldn't say completely on by rate because you could probably add some others in there, but people that constantly had people wanting to watch them perform were Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. But I also look at it like, I don't know if I would consider one over the other because I think Hulk Hogan had his strong points and Ric Flair had his strong points, and they're almost opposite of each other. Ric Flair could do a good promo, but he's going to do a good promo if he's heel and make you think he's fucking crazy. Then you have Hulk Hogan who can cut a good promo, which most cases besides the Hollywood stuff, you wanted Hulk Hogan to win. Ric Flair was way better in the ring than Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan could put on a decent match, but he was not. You're not going to put a star-studded match. You're not going to get star-studded match with Hulk Hogan. You're going to get that with Ric Flair.
Oh yeah.
And those two that you mentioned probably had one of the most emotional WrestleMania matches ever with Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels.
I was there, man. It was emotional just to watch it, man. It was just, not to go too far into that subject, but being that I was there, I had a nosebleed section seat, so I kind of watched half of it in the ring, half of it on the big screen, Titantron or out there. But it was just that moment, no matter what happened, it was a moment where I knew myself, at least at the time, especially the time, I thought, man, this is Ric Flair's last match in his life, his career. Of course, that didn't happen that way. Now he's regretted it. I mean, his last match in WWE, but he's regretted being that he went to TNA and did his deal there, the money and everything. But it was really, it was cool just to know to me at that time in 2008. Thinking myself, man, this is Ric Flair's last match. I mean, whether I'm not saying I've always been a fan of Ric Flair. Especially as a kid, you watch the heel. I never was a big fan of the heels anyway, because they're heels. But I also know who I was watching growing up. And especially in 2008, watching that last match, man, it was like one thing I'd always say, I saw Ric Flair's last match. Like I said, eventually it didn't turn out that way for at least his whole career, but it was an amazing, emotional match, obviously, and just seeing that moment of Shawn Michaels saying, "I'm sorry, I love you," and then doing the kick, and then seeing the aftermath, it was just crazy. But Ric Flair would definitely be in the top 5. In my book, I can't say the words the absolute greatest of all time. But a lot of people, you think about the greatest of all time. Also, go back years before Flair came in, of course, years later too. As far as you want to go to buy rates and so forth, Flair's gonna tell you, Stone Cold beat out John Cena, Hogan and buys, but especially T-shirt sales and going on and so forth, so on. Obviously Stone Cold was in the movies and so forth, but it's hard it's hard to sit there and say the words for me. The absolute greatest to ever touch a ring, because if you're going into a wrestling building, it's hard because to me, by wrestling ability and by technical stuff, between Kurt Angle, you got Benoit. Those are two, but you also got others that's hard to you name there too. Shelton Bench was one of the better ones, but Kurt. You also got when the Undertaker wasn't worn out. You can see him going to give his best. You can see he had a whole lot to give. If he was allowed to pull off what he did as he got older, getting back, say, several years ago, you could see that if he could pull it off earlier this time, he would be able to, show more. But Ric Flair is absolutely one of the greatest of all time. And obviously Michael's in that category too. Stone Cold was one of the best ones too, but you would see more in his younger years. He was moving around differently, more agility and everything. So it's but Flair had the sell, man. He had everything, man.
Yeah, that's what. And it's again, it kind of goes back to what you said. Is it's kind of hard to kind of break down exactly what it would
be. I guess more or less my was down to like what I was saying with a lot of people, especially the younger guys, girls probably had the same question and get questioned it, but a lot of the legends get asked and also ask, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, which one he thinks the absolute all-time greatest, and it's like it's hard to sit there and say, in my opinion, my view, my belief. It's hard to sit there and say the absolute single best. So you also got guys like Harley Race and Dusty and so forth. Had the whole package. But anyways, that's that's about it, man.
Well, that's the whole show, honestly. And this is gonna be it for us. Is there anything you want to add?
Dinger is the man. So that's all I have to say about that. That's it.
That's it. All right. Well, that was going over the 1998 SuperBrawl. We'll be back with another. We're actually going to have two retros back to back. The next one we're about to record is actually a 1999 St. Valentine's Day Massacre from the WWF. So
Mr. McMahon, excuse me, in the steel cage match. So.
With the introduction of the Big Show. So that'll be it from us. Again, you can find us on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at WrestlingSCool, and go ahead and take over for the rest.
For Instagram, it's at Wrestling Still Cool. Facebook is at Wrestling Still Cool. TikTok is at Wrestling Still Cool 90, and email is wrestlingstillcool@gmail.com. Say hello to tell us what you'd like to review. We're gonna be doing some more reviews of different things soon, so or you can talk to us on DMs on social media.
Right. So that'll be it for us, and we'll catch you again in the next one. And that's it from us. Have a good night. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, one more thing. We also have a special episode coming up here soon with a little different episode of mental health with wrestling and athletes in general. So,
yep.
That's it.
Right. Again, that's it for us. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good one.